Alright everyone, I just want to be the first to let you know, as of today, officially we have Trigger Society hoodies on the site. Same design as the t-shirt. That's the back, and the front is the same as the t-shirt also. I will put a link in the description. They're official and they're live as of today. So click on the link. We have hoodies and also the t-shirts available on the site. You guys know? You know what those are for. The 85 life. Alright everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back here to another video. So if you haven't caught my last video, at the end of this, please go ahead and go back and watch that, or I'll put a card up here. You can take a look and watch my last video. The reason why I say that is because today I'm kind of trying to piggyback off that a little bit. I was talking about if you decided to modify your specifically Gen 3 Coyote, what to look for depending on how you decide to mod it. If you decide to do light modifications like mine, or specifically go like full out drag car, track car, show car, whatever it is you decide and what to expect. Today I'm gonna first off go for a drive. I gotta go top off on some E85, and then secondly I'm gonna talk about what I've done and so much and how much I have spent so far on my car, and what to expect financially, how much it'll cost you to do what I did on mine, and then my specific plans going forward with mine. And then also if you decide to go above and beyond that, what to expect cost-wise with that as well. So on that note, let's go get some E85 and let's talk about it. Alright, so for today, like I said at the start of this, kind of going off the last video I did, I was kind of talking about, I as of now kind of stand at like a mild build, I guess you would even call it that, my plans going forward with what I have now and how much I've spent so far. So for anyone that has a Gen 3 or a Gen 2 or a Gen 1, it's all pretty much the same. To do what I've done so far, how much is it going to cost you out the pocket, and just to have you have a better idea on how much it's going to set you back. And I'll put a link in the description for everything that I purchased. So if anybody is interested in anything I have, like the exhaust, the springs, the spoiler, the tune, all that kind of stuff, I'll put a link to all those in the description. All right, so for anyone, if this is your first time watching, this is my 2022 GT Premium. I got this about 9.5 months ago or so. I traded in, actually no, sorry, correct myself before I get roasted in the comments. I sold my GT500, then a week later I came back and I purchased this. I traded in my daily driver for this, but it's a 2022 Grabber Blue GT Premium. Got it brand new, I got it stock. So what I've done to it so far, the first thing I did is a part I don't even have on the car anymore. I did a Roush X pipe. That is the first thing I did out the gate. I threw a Roush X pipe on the car because my GT Premium, it did not have the active exhaust, and the non-active exhaust on these cars, in my opinion, it just doesn't really sound that good. If I had active exhaust, I probably would not have spent the money on the Corsa Extreme double X pipe exhaust, but I'll break all that down how much I spent. But I went with the X pipe because I thought the X pipe would kind of make it sound a little bit raspier, because I knew it was going to be on the raspier side of things because it went X pipe over H. But it was alright, it just wasn't what I was looking for, so I eventually sold that and I went ahead and I went with the Corsa Extreme double X pipe exhaust, as I said. Now the Corsa Extremes, they're not that cheap. They're, I think, now all this is going to be rough ballpark estimates. I want to say I spent right around $1,800 for the double X pipe Corsa Extreme exhaust. Now we threw it on ourselves. It's really not that hard. If you got a friend like mine, James, who has a an air compressor and all the tools. We can just put on some jack stands, and it's really not that hard, especially if you don't have the active exhaust. You don't have any clips or anything like that to unplug and potentially pull any wires in regards to the active exhaust. All right, so roughly, as I said, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was right around $1,700–$1,800 for the Corsa Extremes. Right before that, I went with the Eibach springs. I went with the Eibach Sportline springs because obviously the ride height on these isn't the greatest. I've had the Sportlines previously before in the past. I like how they ride. I like the stance. I love everything about it. So I went with the same Sportlines I had previously that I had on the GT500. The only thing that I did other than the Sportlines is I got a camber adjustments and camber bolts in the front. That's all I did. I still got the factory tires. Obviously that's going to be another issue I'll be addressing here shortly, because these Pirelli P craps are not that great when putting power down, even in stock form. All right, so then under the hood, as of right now, not a whole lot to show, but the reason why I have it open is because I went with the Corsa Performance Cold intake. I went with this particular one because I saw, I want to say it was Xander 13. He did the exact same colder intake from Corsa, except he had, this was carbon fiber, and to do the carbon fiber, that was an additional $300. And I'm like, no, I'm good. So especially for one that doesn't require a tune. And that's why I went with this, because it did not require a tune, but you get back some of that lost horsepower that you get in the 22s and 23s, because of the EPA. They reduced the factory horsepower from 460 to 450. So to get a lot of that back, I went with the non-tunable Corsa Colder intake. Now, you throw a tune on this like I have now, you get additional power on top of that. But you go back, if you watch the previous videos I did by installing this, I did not a huge difference, obviously, but by putting that on, I could definitely tell it was a lot more responsive over stock. Now, the Corsa intake for the non-carbon fiber intake, that was right around $300, $320. As I said, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was somewhere around that. I do remember the carbon fiber version of that was at or above $600. So it was double the price for the same setup, just carbon fiber. So $300 for the Corsa Colder intake, $1,800 roughly for the Corsa Extreme double X pipe exhaust, and then the Eibach Sportlines, those are right around what, $250? So $250-ish, $300 for the springs, $300 for the non-tunable Corsa Colder intake, and the double X pipe was right around $1,800. Okay, so the GT Premiums non-performance pack come with this, not this obviously, they come with a tiny, it's more like a lip, it's not a spoiler. So I removed that and I got the GT500 style spoiler without the option to do the gurney flap. I didn't want to do that because that's more designed for like road course style stuff, and I'm more interested in just going straight and occasionally some back roads. But I went with this one because I didn't want to spend the extra money for you screw in a gurney flap. Now, this isn't Ford OEM, but I'm telling you, it is the exact same. It is the exact same ABS plastic as the OEM Ford version that you could buy from Ford, minus the screws to throw on a gurney flap, and it uses the same factory holes, and you just screw it in the holes and some 3M tape, and you're spending like $500 less than the Ford OEM GT500 spoiler. Now, if you want to go ahead and spend that, that's fine, but it's literally the exact same plastics made out of the exact same crap, except it's not Ford OEM. So that spoiler, I want to say, was right around the $250 mark. Not that expensive. So it was under $300 for that spoiler. I looked up the Ford one, and that was well over $500–600. So in my opinion, for the same stuff, not worth it. You're just paying for a Ford OEM name. Okay, so now I'm inside the car because the wind, but In regards to the last thing that I've done here on the car is I went with a tune. I went with a Palm Beach 93 tune and a Palm Beach E85 tune. Hence the two 5-gallon gas jugs right there. So that's the latest thing I've done so far on the car. Now the tune with the E85 option on top of it, I think combined out the door was like right around 800 bucks. Now to do the option to do an E85 tune, that was only an additional 100 bucks. So through Palm Beach, a 93 tune with the mods that I had was right around $700 for an additional $100. If you got a Gen 3 Coyote and up, you don't need to add any other modifications on your car. Just pay the additional 100 and you can get an option to run E85. That's, as I said in the previous videos I've done in the past, if you have an E85 station close to you, and if you've tested the quality of the E85, it's something I definitely recommend. I don't know if I'm going to switch back to 93 unless I have to, but I do have that option. All right, so adding up everything I spent, the spoiler, the intake, the springs, the exhaust, and the tune, all together out the door, I think I spent right around 3,500 bucks for everything that I've done so far on the car. And that's with the 85 tune, so $3,500. If you're trying to decide between a 2024 and a 23 or just a Gen 3 in general, with the 85 tune, with not throwing long tube headers on it, your power is probably right around the factory power of a GT or a Dark Horse crank, not obviously wheel horsepower. So I want to throw it on a dyno, but I haven't done that yet, so that'll probably be a video upcoming. So $3,500, I could have done other mods to it, but I wanted to do some aesthetics and then some performance in regards to the tune to get the power NA-wise what I'd want the car to be before I start moving forward with that. So in regards to going forward with what I decide to do with, if I'm decided to go long tube headers, still have not decided I'm going to do long tube headers yet, because I still haven't made up my mind yet if I'm going to go turbo. If I go turbo, long tube headers is a waste of money. The ESS kits obviously is an option, or Whipple, or nitrous. Honestly, I don't know yet. I haven't made up my mind yet. So with power wise, I'm at a standstill until I decide which way I want to go. Tires are coming shortly here soon. I'm probably going to do a drag setup next, because I want to do a lot of track events next spring. I'm probably going to do a lot of it as the car stands now, and then once next season's over or towards the end of it, then I'll either go nitrous, which I can always switch that and go ESS after that, but I might do nitrous, I might do ESS, or a turbo kit. Again, I have no clue what I want to do yet, because I keep changing my mind, so I don't know. So the nice thing about everything I've done so far, if you decided to sell the car and go a different route with what I've done so far, if you've kept the parts, which I haven't, but let's say that you did, if you kept the factory spoiler, you could take off the spoiler. If you kept the factory springs, which I have not, you could take those off, throw the factory springs on, keep the factory intake, take that off, throw the factory intake on, and then reflash the car back to stock. And all those parts you could resell, because if you trade the car in or just sell the car private party, more than likely you're not going to get back what you've spent on those parts. So my recommendation, if you think you're going to sell the car at any point in time, keep those parts. I don't intend on selling this car, but if you did, I don't have the springs or the factory spoiler. It's ugly anyway, so I don't really care. The factory spoiler, or the factory springs, not a fan of those. And the factory intake is just ugly, and I didn't really care for it. But keep that in mind. Keep your parts if you decide that you're going to sell, and then sell those parts separately after you sell the car. So on that note, I'm going to close this out. If anybody is watching and you're not subscribed, please do me a favor, hit subscribe, drop a like and a comment. I'll put a link in the description for the hoodies that I just dropped today and the t-shirts. You guys have a good one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.